Hello and welcome to the Destroy Manila podcast, episode number 10. We're here with World Lethwei Championship CEO Gerald Nang. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey guys, good to be on the show. Love the Philippines. Miss being there, and glad to see what you guys are doing for the fight scene in this part of the world.
Awesome to have you on the show, sir. Last time we saw each other, you were in an MMA environment, and now you're in an awesome bare-knuckle kickboxing organization. Can you talk to us briefly, please? And for those who don't know, Lethwei is a kickboxing style that originated in Myanmar. And what are its sporting aspects?
Lethwei has been around for say 1,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
If you go to see the ancient temples in Myanmar, you'll see drawings on the walls of Lethwei. Um, it's a striking sport, similar to like K1 kickboxing and Muay Thai. I think one of the key differences that separate it from the rest of the sports is that the use of headbutts are allowed. So it's affectionately termed as the art of 9 limbs. So you can punch, you can elbow, you can knee, you can kick, and you can headbutt. Um, you can the fights are fought without gloves as well, so you only have hand wraps. Um, and so I feel like Lethwei is the best platform for striking martial artists to showcase themselves to prove that if they want to prove that they're the toughest guys in the world, Lethwei is the perfect platform to do it. There is no better proving ground to show that how tough you are and how good you are at striking than in Lethwei.
See, to me, that is one of the most interesting aspects and basic fundamental difference between it and the kickboxing and Muay Thai arts, right? It's called the art of 9 limbs.
That's like an affectionate term, like how people usually refer to Muay Thai as the art of the 8 limbs. So
Uh huh.
when they compare Muay Thai to Lethwei, they say Lethwei is the art of 9 limbs because you get all 8 limbs, and in addition, you can use your head as well. So that's how
Exactly.
that phrase
And
came
head.
about.
How do you train for headbutts? Is what we would totally like to know. How do you train,
Yeah,
and how do you train in taking a headbutt?
And so it's quite interesting. I think we've seen a few different styles. We've brought in a few world champions from kickboxing, from Muay Thai, and they all have different strategies. Um, a few of them try to aggressively um, incorporate that into the pad work, into their training, and um, use that as part of their arsenal. Whereas some fighters, they like if you're not used to having that be part of your weapon during your fights, you might not get used to it. So some fighters they just train how to defend it instead of trying to use it as a weapon. And then they figure out if they're caught in this position, how can I get out of it, not get into a headbutt position. So yeah, that's extra training that you have to do on top of the work, the back work that you're doing already.
I mean, I know WLC or World Lethwei Championship is quite new, but how is the public? How do they see it so far? I mean, it's quite interesting because I mean, you do headbutts there, and for most of fight fans, headbutts are a big no-no. So how do you get them to understand that headbutts are okay, and well, this is the way to show that you're tougher than anyone else could be?
Yeah. So the way we approach it is for Myanmar fans, for the local fans, they've already accepted this as part of their fight culture. This is the rules that they've grown up with. So the way we separate ourselves from all other label promotions is the way we package it. The LED screens, the entrances, the video production, the fireworks, that the entertainment aspect of putting on a fight event. a world-class fight event, it's not just about the fights anymore, it's about the entertainment. So for the local fans, that's what we try to provide to them that's different than what they've always been getting. For the international fans, I think it's something that we've thought about what we want to do with the Headbutts in terms of introducing it to an international audience, but it's really what establishes Lethwei as Lethwei, so we don't really want to change too much about it. What we did change though is certain other aspects of Lethwei that we actually changed. So traditionally, the fights, if somebody gets knocked down, the cornerman can call for timeout,
Oh, okay.
and then they can let the fighter recover. So for fighter safety, we remove that. For fighter safety, we have a doctor on standby that can actually stop the fight, similar to MMA.
Yeah.
And we also introduce a scoring system. So usually in the past, if the fight ends without a knockout, it's considered a draw. So you see a lot of these Lethwei fighters, they have a high number of draws on their record. For our move, that element, we work was last second, so we've introduced a scorecard system.
It's very interesting in
Yeah.
terms of like there's no knockout, so it's a draw. Wow.
Yes, yeah. So traditionally, that's how it is. But what we realized is that like one event, like 6 or 7 of them might actually end in a draw.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Yeah.
an international audience watching on TV, that's not something you want to watch. So we figured that it would be better to tweak the system a little bit. We still reward points for knockdowns and striking, aggressiveness. So we want fighters to be aggressive all the way to the end.
Can you explain briefly to us the scoring system, Gerald?
Yeah.
Is there like a must system like in MMA?
Yeah, so it's a mass system. And it's got round by round. The fighter who is winning each round will get the 20 point mass system, and then after that, the fighter will get less than that, and then it's
Okay.
based primarily on how many strikes have you landed. So it takes a bit from boxing, it takes a bit from MMA in terms of in MMA there's a few other categories, but this aspect we take from boxing is how many strikes have you landed, and then after that we'll count the effectiveness of each strike.
So it's more output based in terms of striking. The
Yeah,
scoring
it's
system.
there is no like control or dominance.
Yeah, striking superiority.
If you hit your opponent more than your opponent hits you, you will win the round most of the time, unless there's like a significant knockdown or significant strike.
Cool.
Yeah. And when you do rounds for Lethwei, do you follow the actual normal rules where it's 5 rounds of 3 minutes each, or did you change that for WLC?
Yeah, so our fights are still 5 rounds for 3 minutes, with a 2-minute break in between.
2-minute breaks in between. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's enough time for the fighters to recover.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when we were doing research for this, surprisingly, in a lot of kickboxing, Muay Thai promotions, that's pretty standard across the board. So we figured if we reduce it to like 1 minute, like in MMA, that's not something that stand-up fighters might be used to.
Yeah, that is pretty much correct, I think. Yeah, it makes sense now, the 2-minute in between rounds.
Yeah, and our in Muay Thai, the first few rounds they are usually scored lesser than the last few rounds, but for our WLC it's consistent. Every round is scored equally.
It's scored
To
evenly.
be at your best, you have to be at your best from the first round to the last round. There's no time where you can where you take a break.
One of the most interesting things I've seen is how bloody the fights can get from the elbows and the headbutts, especially since the hand wraps must totally like exert friction on the skin.
Yeah, so it's it's we don't shy away from the fact that some of our fighters will get hurt, will bleed, but that's why we have a doctor on hand. If anything happens, he can step in and stop it. But the essence of these guys are the toughest in the world. They can take an elbow, they can take a headbutt, and they keep moving forward. Put these guys down.
Yeah, and with how Lethwei is done, I'm sure a lot more fighters from around the world will become very interested in it. I see that on the card that you have for next month. There are some foreigners on it.
Yeah, so we've already have a few of the world champions from other promotions come out to us and say they want to join. In our last event, we had Uma Samata, who's a Kunlun champion. We had Michael Berato, who was a two-time WBC champion. For this upcoming event, we have Muay Thai fighter from Ukraine. His name is Vasil Sorokin, and he fights for the title against the current champion Tutu. Sorokin, last December, he beat one of the Thailand's best Muay Thai fighters, Sutsakon. So he's riding a high. He's only 19 years old, and this is his biggest opportunity of his career so far.
That looks to be very interesting if you can actually stand up to Tutu.
Tutu is, I dare say, the toughest fighter in the world. Bring all these guys from all over the world to give him a challenge, and he's risen up to all of them. He's super durable. He's hard to knock out, and he keeps moving forward. So it'll be a good challenge and a good fight, and it'll be something different to see how Tutu fares against a guy from Ukraine who's young, who's talented, who looks like he can be the next big star in kickboxing. So it'll be interesting. We'll see. Tutu is really riding a high right now. Like he's won all 3 fights in WLC so far, and is undisputed as one of the best fighters in the world right now.
Just to change gears a bit, Gerald, tell us how, because last time we saw each other, again, you were in an MMA environment. How did tell me the story? How you shifted to Lethwei in WLC, and just a little bit background about yourself, sir. What is your martial arts background?
I started my career working at One Championship, so that's where we initially met at the Manila shows. And yeah, so I left One Championship for about a year, Myanmar, and WLC is actually our parent company of WLC. It's actually the local event partner for One Championship.
Oh.
So whenever One Championship comes to Myanmar to do events, we help them with getting permits. We help them with translation for the fighters. We help them with the local contracts. So the guys, the Burmese guys here that have been helping One Championship with their events, they said they want to do a Lethwei event of their own, modeled similar to the concept of One Championship, where you combine the best mixed martial arts action with the live entertainment aspect of it. So they wanted to find someone who has some experience doing it, and
that's you.
I was in contact with the One Championship guys, and I was in between jobs. So so I came here. Never been to Myanmar in my life. Packed my bags and
that must have been a daunting prospect, sir.
I see it as more of an opportunity, opportunities like that often. So when you do, you have to jump on it.
Yeah, you just jumped on it. And speaking of which, you're fighting soon as well. tell me the experience. Like, it's your first time you're going to fight in amateur promotion, right?
Yeah, it's an amateur event in Bangkok called Dog Fights. All the proceeds from the event goes to helping the stray dogs in Bangkok, and it's something I just want to do once in my life. I think when you've been involved in the culture for as long as I have, you kind of want to find out what you hear all these stories about what the fighters are going through, but you never really know until you actually go through it yourself. So I guess that's what I want to find out and be able to relate better, and also have something that I can, all this training I've been doing all these years, at least there's something to show for it.
Exactly. I mean, that's a different kind of immersion, right? When you're actually preparing for an MMA fight. Tell us how it's going so far.
Yeah.
And you're up against like a Thai guy, a Thai fighter.
Yeah. So the funny thing is, this Thai fighter is actually from my friend's gym, and I actually trained at the gym before. I just never met him before, so should be interesting. We'll see how it goes. Win or lose, it's just a great opportunity to have fun, and it's for good cause too, right? So you get people to go, you get them to buy tickets, all the money goes to a good cause. So it's just a fun event.
Well, good luck on that. That would be like, if you have video, definitely send it to us. We would love to watch that.
Well, you guys should come down, join as well.
Oh, maybe one day.
Yeah. I mean, with how we've seen maybe Lethwei so far, I mean, it's something we'd love to watch live. I'm sure it's gonna be all fireworks.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we are actually already available on 40 different countries on Fight Network, on iFlix, on Skynet, on 11 Sports Network. But we do want to get live in like the Philippines where people can watch it live. Looking for more fighters as well, fighters in the world to come and test themselves. So shout out to all the fighters in the Philippines. If you think you are the best striker in the world, then WLC is the place for you to test whether that's true or not.
That would be awesome. Me and JC were just talking about how fighters like the URCC's Kaloy Baduria, who just puts his face in the middle of an oncoming strike, would do against something like Lethwei, where headbutts are allowed.
Yeah, those are the fighters that we want. The guys that are not afraid to get hit in the face and punch back.
So you hear that, Filipino fighters? If you think you're tough motherfuckers, go to Lethwei.
Chill.
Yeah, and we'll see whether they're still so
Just
tough
a few
after
of
that.
Yeah, exactly. Let's see if you're tough after you take a few headbutts in the clinch, right?
Yep.
Just very quickly, we've noticed that in the forums of like these fight forums, there's a lot of discussion between Muay Thai and Lethwei as like some sort of rival school kind of vibe going on. There is significant similarity between the old Muay Boran and Lethwei, right? I'm sure there was some interpollination going on way back in the day, especially since you've said about like it's been around for 1,000 years or so.
Yeah, so I think 1,000 years ago, the history books that document this aren't exactly completely factual. There's not a lot of references or evidence that we can prove what actually happened 1,000 years ago. Based on what evidence we currently have, the drawings, the historical anecdotes that are documented, in the past, Muay Boran and Lethwei would actually be used as during times of war. So they will battle each other using their individual martial arts. And then after that, I guess while you fight each other with using those martial arts, I'm sure there's a few things you learn from each other, and then um, Muay Thai went down its own path. Certainly, on a global scale, it's a lot more recognized compared to Lethwei, and that's something we want to change. We want to
Yeah.
we want to showcase Lethwei to the world so that in a small town in the US, there's a Lethwei gym where kids can go and train. We want to showcase Lethwei to the world so that in Brazil there'll be somebody watching Lethwei on TV. So uh, I think it's kind of like tea and coffee. It doesn't have to be um, which is exactly better. It depends on the individual preference. Because of the current rule set, Lethwei is certainly a lot tougher. And um, if you want to be the best in Lethwei, you've got to really be mentally prepared more than you do in Muay Thai. Um, and also, it's what kind of content do you actually prefer to watch? Muay Thai is a lot more technical. Um, and for fight beginners, Lethwei might be the way to go because it's a lot more simpler to understand. It's just two guys hitting each other. Whoever hits harder usually wins.
I think you're right there. It is certainly easier to understand in terms of like, and the self defense aspect of it is, I think, much more prominent. You're exactly right. Like, it's two guys trying to prove whoever's tougher and whoever goes down first.
Right,
You lose.
and because Muay Thai has evolved a lot of its rules, and when you change your rules and evolve that much, fighters adapt as well, and fighters adapt to it to mold how they can win based on that specific rule set, instead of thinking how can I win a fight, and essentially that's what Lethwei is. How can you win the fight against your opponent? Who's the better fighter?
With a finish, right?
Yeah, with a finish.
Yeah.
One of the more interesting aspects of the upcoming card is not just Vasily versus Tutu. It's also you have a female versus female fight, right? New Shape Po. Can you talk to us
Yeah,
about that?
New Shui is from Cambodia and her opponent is Shui Sin from Myanmar. So we always try to be forward thinking. We want to be innovative in terms of um how we manage and regard some of the more storic tradition about Lethwei. One of the things about Lethwei is generally the lack of female fighters. So that's something we want to change. We want to bring in top female fighters to compete in Lethwei, and we want to grow the current upcoming crop of female fighters in Myanmar right now. So this is the perfect platform to show it. No, New Shui Po is one of Cambodia's top fighters. She's actually beaten a lot of foreigners in Cambodia, and now it's an opportunity to test herself in a completely different platform. And Shui Shimin is one of the best female fighters that Myanmar has. Super popular, super big if she wins this fight. So it'll be a good opportunity. Our first female fight in WLC history, and yeah, it will be fun.
Yeah, and yeah, in line with this, I mean, having foreigners go to Myanmar to compete in World Lethwei Championship in the female fights. What kind of future does WLC have for Lethwei? And well, what are your plans for expanding Lethwei and getting it known pretty much everywhere?
Yeah, we want to make Lethwei available to everybody who wants to watch Lethwei, and that's the end goal, obviously. Currently, we are already available in 40 countries. So if we can reach 100 countries available on television by the end of 2018, that'll be a great number to be at. and we want to hold one event this year overseas. So Manila might be the perfect place.
Yeah,
That would be awesome.
that would be awesome.
Yeah, we're still going through a few different options, see where the sponsors might be, where we can find fighters. But I would love to do an event in Manila. Like the fight culture, I think they will take to Lethwei immediately.
Yeah, tournament would be just the thing to do it, right? If you're looking for new fighters.
Yeah, or we can get the best Filipino boxers, the best Filipino MMA fighters, and see how they fare in Lethwei.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of kickboxing over here that I'm sure would translate very well. And just getting used to the new dynamic of the headbutts and the hand wraps, well, I'm sure is going to be so interesting.
I mean, it's not something you're used to right now, but I mean, if you really want to test yourself, there's nowhere else to go than to remove the gloves, get ready for anything that can happen to you in the ring.
Exactly. I think you're correct in that. The world of sporting martial arts, I think, especially in Southeast Asia, has somehow taken a very interesting turn in that the points and the rule set have now dominated things. And I think Lethwei and WC is, of course, instrumental in this. Lethwei is bringing it back to its roots of, let's see who's the tougher guy. Just put him in there with as much minimum protection as possible and let them wail on each other without sacrificing technique, of course.
Yeah, I mean that's basically it, right? You have to find the correct balance between having fighters try to game the system, but also not removing their natural instinct to fight each other. The reason why WLC introduced a point system actually is, without points, we realized a lot of these fighters were just not trying as hard in the fourth and fifth rounds. Sometimes it's both fighters. If you realize neither fighter can knock each other out, they just stop trying as hard in the fourth and fifth rounds. And also sometimes if one fighter knew he was going to lose on points, but he would not lose if he just ended in a draw, they'll just start flopping. Like in soccer and in basketball, they just start falling to the floor, be slow to get up, try to run the time down. So we don't want that. Yeah. So we introduced point system. We are the first Lethwei promotion to do that. And we'll see how it goes. I think it translates to a better product right now because the point system is so new in Lethwei. So the fighters are slowly trying to adapt and figure out how they can win in this system. But what we've seen so far is, if you look at our events, the point system has not changed the fact that there'll still be knockouts. The knockouts will still happen, and you still get great fights. We get 5 rounds of great fights from fighters who want to win it, right up to the very last second.
Awesome. Well, best of luck. And we're sure that Bare-knuckle King is going to turn out great.
Yeah. By the way, for people like us in the Philippines, do we have any means of actually being able to watch the upcoming event?
Online or anywhere?
Yeah, the fights will be available on our Facebook page. They're available delayed on iFlix.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have iFlix in the Philippines, and obviously we want to roll out a way for Filipinos to watch it live. So one day the plan is to be able to be on TV one day.
Yeah, because
we'll that in the links.
Yeah, we've before we did this interview, when we learned about Lethwei, we were asking around, and a lot of Filipinos actually are quite interested in it, and they really would want to see how fights go in Lethwei. I'm sure it will also fighters will also be interested in joining WLC sometime soon.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you want to check out the fights, all of our fights are now available on iFlix. So um, head over there, check out our previous events, and then hopefully one day we can get a TV deal in the Philippines and get a bigger audience and have an event there.
Awesome.
Oh, looking forward to that.
Would you like to thank anybody, Gerald, or would you like to promote the fight, invite the listeners to watch it on iFlix and stuff like that? It's happening on February 17, right?
Yeah, so Filipino fight fans, tune in to watch WLC Bare-knuckle King February 17. Like our Facebook page, and we'll bring Lethwei to you one day.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It was a blast.
Definitely. And hopefully next time we'll do a face-to-face interview, and maybe, just maybe we're going to be in Yangon in Myanmar to watch one of your shows too.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'll get you the best seats in the house.
Cool.